Andrea, are you ready for your 10 questions?
Absolutely. Let's get them.
Yes. Question number 1. If you had to choose between the two, which one would you pick? Batman's utility belt or a fanny pack?
Oh, Batman's utility belt, all the way. All the way.
What if I told you it came empty and you had to accessorize it on your own? Would that change your mind?
No,
No, fair enough.
not at all.
Question number 2. what what is your favorite movie?
Oh my goodness. So many to choose from, but I'm not a huge movie buff. But what I would say is Black Beauty is probably one of my favorite all-time movies. I'm a horse lover, grew up with horses, and it just has a very soft, happy ending. So it's a good feel good movie at the end. So
Nice. What about The Horse Whisperer? Did you watch that one with Robert
oh
Redford?
my God, that one's so good too. Yeah, with Robert Redford. I
What
actually
about
watched
the
it really recently.
Yeah, well there's another one that's about the guy that Robert Redford's character is based on. I think it's called Buck. Have you seen that?
I have not.
I'm told that it's really, really good. If you liked The Horse Whisperer, the horse trainer that I was speaking to said that that's actually Hollywood's version of the real thing that's summed up in this other movie, and I think it's called Buck, B-U-C-K, and that gets
I'll look it up.
deeper into the story of the real guy that the other one is based on. You check that out. Okay, question
check
number
it out.
3. Favorite quote. What is your favorite quote?
Oh man. Again, I'm really bad at like movie titles or remembering exact quotes, but Robert Greenleaf is like the master of servant leadership. And again, I don't have a specific quote, but his whole premise was that you serve the people you work for, or that work for you. Sorry, I get that backwards. So you serve the people that work for you. So it's a bottom-up organization. And I just really love that thought. But I should have Googled some, trivia before this. But he has a lot of really great, very inspirational quotes that when I look at servant leadership topics, he's always at the top of the list of, oh my gosh, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense.
That's good. You serve the people that work for you. Well, how about this? What's the best advice you have ever received?
I have had some really, really good mentors in my life, and my dad always told me that you need to build your relationship so that trust can be made on a handshake. You could be making millions of dollars in contracts or agreements or whatever, but if your word is no good, it's just no good. So my dad taught me that from a very early. He was a farmer, so many of our rental contracts when I was growing up and even into my adulthood, again, thousands of acres, were built on a handshake. And when I was in grad school, I took a business law class where they taught us that any contract that was over, I think the value, this was in the 90s, but over the value of I think like $500 was not enforceable in a court if it was not in writing. And so I got panicked and I'm calling my dad. I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, like we don't have any of this land on contract. It's all just a verbal agreement. And he said, Andrea, if I went to all of those landlords that we have rented from for decades and all of a sudden now I said I wanted it in writing, our relationships would go out the door. And I'll never ever forget that conversation.
Wow. That's huge.
It is huge. It is huge.
Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Dad sounds like a good guy.
He's a very good guy. He's my hero.
Well, speaking of childhood and growing up, What was your favorite childhood toy?
I was actually always outside, so it's not really a toy per se, but my horses. I rode miles and miles and miles almost every day on my horses. So they were my entertainment growing up, and anything that had to do with horses. So I did have a lot of little horse like figurines. So when it was, 10 degrees outside and too cold to ride or pouring rain, that I would play with those. But that was anything to do with horses were right up there on the list.
So, if you're riding horses that much, I'm guessing that you probably spent even more time caring for the horses and cleaning up after the horses and all the behind-the-scenes stuff that nobody sees.
Absolutely. When you live on a farm and grow up on a farm, that's just it's just part of the deal.
I think it was described to me as riding the horse is the top of the iceberg. That everyone, right? And then everything else is where you spend most of your time.
Yeah, but riding is so much fun. But what I would say is that if I'm around a horse and I can just groom the horse or just pet the horse, it settles my psyche down. So I don't have to be riding. I can just be taking care of the horse, and that is powerful. I just all my worries or whatever just kind of go out the door when I'm working with them. Sadly, I don't have a horse now.
You don't have a horse now?
No. I sold her. The last horse I had, I sold her 6 years ago, something like that.
Are you able to get around any horses now, or
yeah, one of my assistant director actually has 4 horses, and so luckily she has graciously asked if I want to go riding with her several times, and so makes my day whenever she asks.
She's amazing.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, how about this? We're gonna stay in childhood just for a second for this next question. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was really little, I remember telling my uncle that I wanted to be a veterinarian that took care of horses. I wanted to be a horse trainer, a concert pianist, and a lawyer, all at the same time.
Wow.
I don't know why, but I knew where the horse part came from. And I did play a lot of piano. I had 11 years of piano lessons when I was a kid, and I loved it. I have no idea where the lawyer came from, because I don't see myself as a lawyer. But at the time, something about being a lawyer had crossed my path, and probably TV or some show, and it seemed fascinating. But obviously my path did not go in those directions.
Oh man, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be a lawyer and a pianist and a vet, a horse vet, like you got a lot of stuff there. I really appreciate the optimism and the overachieving. Like that's huge. That's great.
Doctoral degrees, that's pretty big. Plus being the maestro, piano, that's pretty big. I don't know where it all came from, but I remember that conversation when we were in my church basement when I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade. My uncle had asked me, so what do you want to do when you grow up? And I just remember, I always remember, I don't know why, but I just always remember that conversation. And he just kind of walked away like, good luck with that.
What do you want to do when you grow up, Andrea? All the things. Okay.
Exactly.
So I feel like I know the answer to this next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What brings you joy?
Oh, so many things, but I can lose myself.
All the things, Jeff. Okay.
Yes, all the things. Quilting brings me joy. That's probably the one you expected. I've always grown up sewing with my grandma and my mom, and I eventually had begun quilting, and I can just lose myself in making a piece of art or just something that somebody else will love and cherish, and hopefully know that whenever they use it, that it's just a hug from me. But I like to cook, spend time with my family, my kids. They're both grown and out of the house now, so that's not as often as what I would like anymore. But when the times do come, it's just very valuable to me.
I totally thought you were going to say horses.
I don't have a horse right now, so
But-
otherwise it would be.
but- Yeah. And you made the quilt behind you, right?
I did.
That's
Made that. I think I finished that 3 years ago.
Nice. Well, let's take it the next step and reverse the question. What brings you dread?
Ooh. Grumpy people. It's really hard, grumpy or gossipy people. I just have a very low tolerance for that. There's too little time in this world that we each have. And I just have a hard time when people are just cruel to each other. They're just grumpy about everything, and they just gossip or do things that make other lives, other people suffer. And that just works on me pretty hard when those things happen.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. We're we're coming in for the landing. Last two questions. Here we go.
Okay.
Question number 9. What is one thing that you would really like to accomplish but cannot do on your own?
A handstand?
I get that. I can personally relate to that.
Yeah, I would need my husband to hold my feet up there because I don't think I could do it myself. I know I couldn't do it myself.
It takes a village. We were just talking about this earlier today. I need that village.
It does. Yeah. But no, there's so many things that, we each have our own talents. We each have our own blessings. And there's certain things that I know I'll never be able to do. But yet other people can. And so I can tap into their talents when I need to. So I don't know. I don't really go regretting or like missing certain things that maybe I can't do. Because it's just kind of out of my ability area of expertise or just physical ability. That's a hard one.
Well, that's why I ask them.
Yeah, I do sometimes wish that I could have gotten my doctorate and maybe at some point in my career have an option of teaching. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think I would really enjoy the one-on-one interactions with students. That's what I've really enjoyed through my whole career, is mentoring and helping with the professional development of students that I've worked with and young professionals. But I don't have a doctorate, I have a master's, and so I don't have the credentials to be able to teach at, say, like a university level. So that would probably be on that list, yeah.
That's pretty nice.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. We'll wrap it up with this last and final question. Question number 10, the big 1-0. What do you hope people will say about you after you're gone?
That I was kind. And just that if there were, I think also, I hope people see that I don't let the grass grow under my feet. And what I mean by that is that I have been very blessed in my life to have had a lot of different experiences, some good, some bad, but they're all experiences I've grown from. And when there's something new that I can try, I usually jump at it. I usually try because I want to learn. I want to be able to look back and say that I did that versus I, was too scared or too, just unsure or unconfident or whatever it might be. And I don't necessarily have the most confidence out of some other people I know, but I just don't like to pass up opportunities. And so, whether it's been going to Europe and doing a study abroad, or living in Europe for a while, or traveling in Europe, or doing mission trips to Haiti, or doing a lot of travel on my own, or owning horses, growing up on a farm, living in rural Missouri, working there's just so many different things. Being a parent, and being a parent of a micro preemie who was born at 23 weeks gestation. There's so many things that have happened in my life, whether I've sought it out or whether it's just come to me, that I can talk to so many different people and find ways to relate. And so I hope people, when they look at that, I've been told, why do you stay so busy all the time? It's like, because there's only so much life that I have. And I want to make the most of every minute that I have on this planet. So I hope people think of me as kind, but then also somebody who is very active in the world around me. So.
Preach! That's awesome. Andrea, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for your time today. You rock.
Oh, thank you. You rock.
Yes! And that brings this to a close.